Well, hello. Today is April 30, 2024. This is SIG Node weekly meeting. Welcome, everybody. Today on agenda, we have a few items. First, I want to highlight that we have a last call for comments on the annual report. Due for annual report is, I think, tomorrow. I will try to merge it this week. So yeah, if you have comment, please drop it in. And if you have any suggestions, what else can be added, also please do it. Next topic is from Laura. Do you need a presentation?
I would love that.
Yeah, co-host now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, first off, hi everybody. My name is Laura. I work at Google and I mostly hang around upstream in SIG multi-cluster, but I'm interested in SIG Node and I want to work on one of the things that's in that long KEP list that you've been working on. So maybe this doubles as talking about that a little bit too. But yeah, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about crash loop backoff. Already several people in this call I've already talked to you about this and know some of this, but I wanted to bring it up more generally to the community and also just give kind of an update of what I'm thinking about. And then if people want to reach out to talk to me about this more too, then people know like who I am. So why I'm bringing this up is because there is an issue that is longstanding about trying to make some changes to this, some other chatter about it as well. And I also know that it's at the bottom of the KEP list that you all have been working on and has been there at least for 2 releases. It's maybe even more separately than the topic of this. It's nice for me because I'm kind of new to like the Node kubelet lifestyle, but I think this is a good one that has a lot of interest, but didn't have a champion just yet. I think, as all of you know, the point of crash loop backoff is that when containers fail, to not make them just keep restarting over and over again super fast and take down the node. The current behavior is fixed. It's hard coded that if it has a non-zero status code, then they restart with this back off delay. It stops after 5 minutes and then it waits for the pod to succeed for 10 minutes total before deciding that it's healthy, and then the cycle could repeat again in the future if necessary. So I bring all of that up because in the issue and in other discussions, there's probably 10,000 different ways that we could do not that to address some of the concerns, some of which are change this number, either the 5 minutes part of the cap or the 10 seconds to 20 seconds to 40 seconds, the exponential delay part, change what type of status code.
Was it just me losing Laura?
No,
Oh,
same here.
yes.
Okay. Okay, you're back. Thank you.
Did something happen to me?
Yeah, you froze for a second. I think we finished when you said that it needs to be tunable. And yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like something different needs to occur, and there's lots of versions of different. I don't know. I talked about a couple of them, but I can talk about them later too. For the purposes of this meeting, there's 2 things that I wanted to bring up. I guess 3 things. 1, that I'm working on this. 2, that there's some history and existing art, prior art in the job API that is somewhat relevant, that I think that is guiding some of what I'm thinking about too. So I want to just talk about that. And then 3, I want to check with everybody here. I have started the KEP, at least in terms of like addressing it in the form that the KEP is. And I have a list of goals and non-goals that I'm keeping in mind. And so I want to make sure that we're all on the same page about that. So that's my priority, this goals and non-goals section of the slides. And just really quick, I want to bring up that there's a prior art about trying to change the behavior of crash loop back off, but more in the direction of consider some things failures and some other things not failures. That is going on in the job API. There's a lot of prior research about different types of conditions that are related to what those failures might have been. And also, as you can kind of see down here, and this pod failure policy section that provides the API interface for people to describe what types of exits are considered real failures and which ones should just not be retried whatsoever, should not be part of, should not cause a crash loop back off, and should not even bother going down that route. So I think this is interesting and maybe provides just something that we might want to at least expand on or discuss at some point. This is pretty isolated to the job controller, so this would be like kind of
You did it again.
why do I have low network? Sorry, am I freezing again? My yeah, great. Love that. Sorry, I seem to be flaking. My internet seems to be flaking for some reason. But anyways, this is in my mind, and I want people to know that it's in my mind. Okay, these are the goals. You can read them since I can't say them without risking too much internet drama. But I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page about this. And I think what my priorities, if I distilled this wordsmithing down to the main things, is to address use cases that wish that their pods would start faster, would restart faster, especially if it knew something about why it failed and knew that it was safe to do so. And the other half is that I don't want to break node stability. I think a side point of this is that if this had no change to an API surface or didn't for the majority of workloads, that would be ideal. So if most behavior was either the same or like you needed to opt into it or something, that is kind of the direction that all of these goals and non-goals speak to. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm happy to take some comments or discussion now. Also, my DMs are open, or talk to me in the SIG Node Slack channel. I did open the KEP issue and a draft PR, so we can talk about stuff there too. The draft PR isn't fully filled out yet, but that's what's going to be going on in the background as KEP season approaches. That's it. I cede my time.
Thank you. Is there any comments from audience?
I think so, sounds like a plan. I mean, we can work on the cap and see if we can come together, come up with a design that works. Thanks.
I really like the goals. Like the goals page was great. Thank you. I lost it up. It's Peter. Sorry for delay.
Yeah, hey. So I am here actually on behalf of Itamar, who can't be here due to time zone reasons, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but just wanted to mention we came to a sort of, there's a bit of consensus. This topic has been delayed a couple of weeks because we've been in KEP planning, so actually it's a little bit more updated than it has been, or than it, the reason it was put originally on the agenda is because it was kind of more up in the air, but it seems there's been a little bit of consensus found, at least between Jordan and Itamar, on like what to do in this case. So a little bit of background is it's a requirement of, you know, secure swapping on Kubernetes node that memory backed volumes don't get swapped because they contain secrets and we don't want them on the disk. And there is actually a kernel knob that you can use. It's in the Mount API called no swap, which is sometimes confusing with the name. But and so what we want to be able to do is, in cases where a kernel supports the no swap mount option, it's available in 5.13, I think, or something like that, we use it. And the open question was like, what do we do if the kernel doesn't support this API? Do we fail? And how do we also interact between the different knobs in the in the kubelet configuration between like fail swap on versus, the swap config structure. It seems the sort of vague consensus, Jordan was the one that opened the issue and was concerned about it. And it seems that he's okay with the direction of we use no swap on temp@best mounts if it's available. And if it's not, we just log a warning or something like that. So we don't fail. We don't we're not being super opinionated about it, which I think is a good approach. And so I just wanted to highlight that a little bit more. That's kind of the direction it seems to be taking. Does anyone have any concerns about that? And if not, then I think Itamar is going to be proposing a PR. And I think, I'm not super sure how this will interact with the KEP on it. So I'm not exactly sure what the strategy of integrating that with the current existing swap KEP is, but just as a note, that's sort of the direction that we're thinking of taking. Cool.
Looks like we have a path forward. Yeah, I think we should capture it in the KEP. And I think we had you had a doc with like 5 different options, right? So we should probably summarize it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I never actually sent that doc anywhere because there were too many options. Like, for context, I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and our Node team at Red Hat, we have been putting together a document to sort of work through all the different cases. But then last week, Jordan chimed in with basically in support of one of the cases. And so I'm happy to sort of just coalesce around that. So I can sort of trim up the document or at least write up something for the SIG Node notes. I think in this issue, we've decided on the direction. So I think that I don't know how much we need the doc anymore. The doc was more for deliberating between all the different options, which we seem to, not need anymore. But I'll write something up for the notes at least.
Yeah, I mean, at minimum, I think we should at least update the KEP to capture the decision.
Right.
From there.
Yep. Totally. Yeah, so that is it. All right, and I also have the next one, also on behalf of Itamar, which is related to the time zone. So he sent a survey to the SIG Node mailing list about the timing of the SIG Node meeting, and I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, but Sergey and Don weren't here, so we didn't really come to any sort of. And obviously Don's not here now, so that sort of complicates the sort of conversation a little bit. But basically the ask is to move the SIG Node meeting a little bit earlier, like 2 hours, I think was the suggestion, to better accommodate people in EMEA. And I'm not really sure, I don't know what the process of doing this really looks like fully, but wanted to bring it again to this forum to see if we can sort of talk. He keeps asking me to sort of bring it up because it's tough for him to show up here.
As far as I know, there is no process per se, just trying to pick time that works for most people.
Totally. So I suppose, I guess maybe, yeah, I guess I don't even know, do we propose something in, do we just propose a documentation change? I don't even know what the process looks like to define a SIG Node meeting time, but I suppose I could do some research on that or something if we're in sort of general agreement that we could move it a little bit earlier.
I guess today we don't have a lot of attendance. We'll have to wait for more people.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is, the other thing that's been raised is if we have another meeting that can be run for a different time zone, if we have enough attendance. So I don't, yeah. Maybe we raise it again next week and hope there are more folks on the call.
Cool. Okay. I'll flub it again, and we can see if we can get, if all the stakeholders are around.
Do you know
Sounds
how
good.
many people interested in that? I know that this may not be fair like for everybody, but I want to understand the like how much desire is it? Because I know for some
I
people,
don't know. So go
for
ahead.
some people in Europe, it's actually preferable to have it later than earlier because earlier they have a dinner with family. So like we can
Right.
help some people, but like we'll do like lose another set of people. So I don't know like what is the right approach here.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. I think the language of the survey was more like, would it work for you if it was moved earlier, rather than like, would you be able to go where you were formerly not able to go? I know, yeah, Inamar is one. I mean, I know, like, thinking about like, yeah, I don't know. I imagine there could be a world in which 2 hours earlier could work a little bit better for people who are like in Asia as well, because I mean, this time is like 2 in the morning for, China, but like it could be midnight, which might be a little bit more accessible. I don't know. I think that could be some good information to get. But it's a little bit challenging because I'm not really spearheading this. I'm just sort of like, voicing, I'm like, yeah, bringing it on behalf of Inamar. So I'm actually not totally sure what additional information, but I guess we can defer it and maybe go through maybe have a follow-up email on the SIG Node mailing list saying like, if you're not able to make it now and you would be able to make it then, like we want to know that to sort of inform like how popular this decision would be.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Next is Dixie.
Yeah, I have two topics. The first one is regarding changing the permissions of the kubelet archive logs. I think this has been discussed before, but the problem is if we make this security fix, it would break some users. So I want to know what's the path forward and if we want to document that so that we don't keep discussing the same thing again and again. Any thoughts?
For this termination log specifically, is it for termination?
Well, it's actually a temporary file as far as I can see. It's renamed to the archive and it's archived. So I don't see how it would actually break the users.
Yeah, I see a comment by Sasha that this might potentially break users.
Yeah, I think this is one of those tricky pieces where it feels like an innocuous change to us because we might not know all the stakeholders who are relying on it currently working this way. I mean, I think like changing the group permissions generally probably is an okay thing to do. But I think we run the risk of like, running into an issue like we did with the C group boom kill knob where we made the change and then a bunch of people were like, whoa, wait a minute, we didn't like that. So yeah, I don't know.
I think part of the concern is with like security scanners or log aggregators. They could potentially change or stop working at some point with the permissions change.
So do we want to keep it as is? And then the concern is, are we okay with this security issue?
Do we know for sure what the security issue here? Like, what kind of breakout or like information exposure are we risking here? Like,
Yeah, I'll have to collect some data around that.
I guess like in this case, if someone breaks out of a container as non-root, they are still able to read these logs, right?
Yeah, so it basically limits the set, like having it be 640 would limit the set of people to only people who are root, either in, root user or root group.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm reading the original issue now. There's one comment by Kevin, and he has mentioned one option could be to keep the default and add a config option to allow for different types of permissions on logs. I think I like that. So, do you think that is something that's feasible? Have a config option for log
I
permissions?
think that may be preferable because we don't want to break existing users. So again, the question will be, where is that set? Tip.
Another option that we have is we could make it a feature gate with the intention of eventually deprecating and removing the feature gate. Like, so just saying like, so we're moving towards a world in which we, change the permission, but it gives people time to sort of like catch this breakage.
Yeah, my feeling about this is that it's not a big enough issue that it's worth adding more configuration surface for it. I think that OpenFile still respects the UMask on the parent directory, so I feel like we could just publish guidance to Kubernetes distributors and set up that if you want to lock down the permissions, just set that UMask on the parent directory appropriately.
Yes, I agree with you on that. But I also feel that maybe we can just have this feature gate, like Peter suggested, only for a short while until the guidance is absorbed. Yeah, I think that might be an option.
Yeah, I find the advantage of a feature gate, meaning we don't have to long-term support this configuration field. It's just, something we'll have for a little bit to sort of transition people.
Okay, does that...
I remember we had the same issue for termination log. Do we want to do anything about that as well? Because termination log is a little bit different, as I heard that there are scenarios when it's actually being used.
Yeah, I think that you're talking about 108076 issue. I'll send it in chat. It seems like we haven't done anything with it. It just has been an open PR for a while.
Could you please share the link of the issue in the doc somewhere?
Yeah. I'm wondering if this is the same one.
Yeah, I believe I remember that one. My recollection was that there are products that actually using it by reading termination log and trying to attach it to some status message when pod was deleted, like brutally.
Okay. Do we have any suggestions on that as well? How do we want to proceed here? At least for the kubelet archive logs, I think having the feature gate and then providing guidance sounds good. I'm yet to read about this issue that's about termination logs.
Yeah, if we'll be documenting something about permissions, we need to document permissions for this file as well.
Okay.
It's very similar to like logs, but different type of log.
Okay. Probably I can open an issue that links these two, and then we have a small cap or something around it.
Works for me.
Okay, sounds good. The next one is about C advisor enumerating memory and huge pages separately. So the problem today is huge pages memory is node allocatable basically has huge pages memory as well, and we need to subtract it from the node allocatable so that it's basically accounted for. Does that make sense? So the huge pages memory needs to be removed from the allocatable memory when we update the node allocatable limits across the pods. The fix that was suggested was to just remove remove huge pages from the capacity. But on that PR 119173, Swati mentioned that maybe this is an issue that cAdvisor is not reporting the node allocatable correctly. So the question is whether we want to fix this in Kubernetes or do we want to fix it in cAdvisor? And if we want to fix it in Kubernetes, do we also want to backport it? Or how do we want to proceed with this fix?
We are getting the values directly from cAdvisor, right?
Right.
So if we fix it in Kubernetes, then we are basically doing the fix. I think it probably makes sense to fix it in cAdvisor directly, so we don't have to do additional calculations on the Kubernetes side. I haven't seen this code recently, so this is just based on your description. If
Yeah,
others have, please share.
Yeah, I think that's something that was recommended, that we make the change in cAdvisor. But would that also break users?
It will. I'm pretty sure.
Right. So how? Yeah.
Perhaps we can, well, what I'm trying to say is that we don't necessarily need to change the value reported by cAdvisor as memory. I don't remember how the machine infrastructure is laid out, but what I'm trying to suggest is to add a new field to be to preserve backward compatibility. I think this is a way we can at least explore.
Okay. So, but you're still recommending the change should be in cAdvisor and we add a new field for backward compatibility. Is my understanding correct?
My own take is yes, we should try to fix this in cAdvisor first, and if it is not possible, solve it in Kubernetes. This is my thinking.
Yes, I think I agree with you as well. Does anyone have different?
Yeah, I think if we have backwards compatibility concerns, then we'll have to add a new field for the new value, right? The old one will have to stay the same. Yeah, I think we'll have to take a closer look and see how those fields are exposed and how they are used.
Okay.
Also, how dynamic this new field will be? Like, do we? I don't fully follow what you described. And like, if somebody allocates more huge pages, will we update allocatable? And what is the behavior today?
So the behavior today is node allocatable includes huge pages memory, and that's kind of not correct, and it leads to early kills. And hence when reporting node allocatable, that memory should anyway be subtracted.
So we'll end up scheduling more pods, right? Then we have capacity for.
Correct. That's the current situation right now. So we do want to address this. The only problem is where should we address, and yeah, how can we move forward?
I guess my question is, what if customer added huge pages later, like allocated them? Will we change allocatable on the node so it makes node dynamically sized somehow? Or I'm
If I
missing
remember
something here.
correctly, huge pages are not dynamically updated on the node object. They are kind of set ahead of time, and there are operators that do that. And then
On top of that, my recollection, I will need to double check. My recollection is the kubelet doesn't notice if huge pages allocation changes. So we'll need to restart it anyway. Again, need to double check, but I'm pretty confident this is the case.
Yes, I think so too. That's how it was when I read the code last time.
Okay, so if kubelet will be restarted, it will update the node object with different allocatable after that, right?
Correct.
Is it how it behaves today and how it will be behaving later?
This is how it behaves today. I'm yet to think about if that's the correct behavior for later.
Okay. Yeah, just make sure to think through this scenario because I know some customers change huge pages allocation over time. They may not necessarily use Kubernetes, so but yeah. I'll think through this scenario as well and not change it drastically at least.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, just wanted to bring this up and I'll think about the possible solution and get back in one of the next meetings then. Thank you.
Okay, we are at end of agenda for regular topics and we have finished cap planning. Peter, do you want to take over?
Yeah. Share screen. Alrighty. So I'm actually set a note for myself so I remember where we are. So I think I forget whether we actually got to this one or not. Yes, okay, I think so. Okay, so next would be standard out, standard error, and log stream. The splitting, I think, from what I remember, this looks to be abandoned, or at least, you know, some priority was redirected. So Mernal and I marked it as probably not to be worked on. And a similar thing with supplemental groups. I don't think that, or I guess, oh, well, look at that. So the author removed the lifecycle stale. They said they were trying to work on our 129, but did not. So like maybe this is a maybe because they've just recently updated it, but I'm not sure. Oh, we might not get to it. So we'll see if they open up a cap and then we can sort of keep it up to date. Or update the cap that exists rather. Okay. PSI.
So there is a potential fix PR in run C to fix the Go 122 issue. So that may block run C 120. So let's see how that goes. If it unblocks run C 120, then at least we can update to that version and then unblock this work.
Totally.
Sounds good. And I remember there was a question last time about the release candidate, the latest release candidate in Kubernetes, right? So I got an answer for that. Jordan and Dims are not okay with it, so they want to wait for all the fixes and then only integrate the final 1.2.2 runs in Kubernetes.
I think, yeah, that's fair. That's okay. I think we are making progress. So let's see.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so we'll leave this at a maybe, and we have all the people assigned. SQL driver from CRI. I don't think Marcus is here, but I can talk on this a little bit. There recently was support in Community 2.0, so we could make progress on this. I think it'll largely just look like a switch of the feature gate. I don't think we'll need very much any changes or anything really. So does anyone want to be a reviewer or approver on this?
I can be reviewed.
Yeah,
Cool,
you can
thank
put
you.
Yeah, this should be straightforward.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. Cool. RRO, I haven't actually talked to Akira but I'm gonna guess that he'd want to push forward, make some progress in 131. But we can check with him. Put it as a yes, but actually maybe it's a maybe. But we will need reviewers and approvers for this as well. And I think similarly, I think we have broad runtime support. I'm pretty sure it's in Continuity 2.0 and in Cryo we got support for it. So I'm gonna guess. I'm hoping that the only things that would need to be changed are like similar to the C group driver where you just flip a bit. So similarly, we'll need approvers and reviewers on this. I can volunteer as a reviewer.
You can add me.
We can.
I was involved in the presentation.
I wonder how much work needed for beta, so it should be easy.
Yeah, it
Just
should be straightforward. Just
to it.
flipping.
That's what we're hoping. Yeah, so hopefully, assuming it's straightforward, it should be a pretty easy thing to do. Node status, the proxy version. I think that this is driven by SIG network and has just, I think we're just sort of watching it. So it just might need, yeah, it looks like it's being driven by SIG network. So I think we just need to watch it and make sure, you know, we're reviewing it if they're looking at it. I'm not seeing, they bumped it from 130 probably because it just made it to alpha in 129. So it looks like they're targeting 131. So if folks want to sign up for reviewing / approving of this, you can do that offline also.
I can review. It's
Cool.
so-
All right, whatever. I guess it's indented. Okay. Kubernetes drop-in directory. No, not working on this because it just made it to beta in 130. Similar for
Do you know if anybody
pod
adapted
conditions.
or drop-in directory?
We intend to in OpenShift.
Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll have feedback for that in 132 on how that's going. Pod conditions, I think that this is similar, just made it to beta, so we'll stay in beta for 131, and also Kevin's on leave anyway. Pre-stop hooks, stay in beta. Yeah, we have a couple of these that are in beta. I think this one, what's the state? I think there was an open question on maybe we're waiting for DRA to get figured out. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on this. I made it to beta in 128, so it could be worked on, but
Francesco, do you know?
I was about to speak out. I will reach out to Piotr and ask him.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool. This one is decoupled taint manager, and I think we're just acting as an advisory role here. So I think they're just talking about when to put it to GA. So I'm guessing we won't need a whole lot for this. It looks like it's just going to be worked on by SIG scheduling. So I might need an approver there, but cool. Now we're getting to the new things, or the things that at least we're not sort of triage before. It's not clear what the stage is. It looks like this one is looking at alpha. I don't know why that's no. I don't remember. I might have said that, but I don't remember it. It'll be pending for one more release. So it seems like it's been stalled for the last couple of releases. So maybe it's going to make progress, maybe not. I'm not sure. Oh wait, but it's not alpha. It would be alpha. Okay. So we'll see if the author sort of tries to push forward on it, I think. Dynamic node resize. I don't know if we've come to consensus on the design of this yet. It looks like it's a doc at this point.
I got word that the folks here want to discuss this work, so maybe they will work on a cap on or come and talk into this meeting later on.
Totally.
I wonder if Zen on the call. I remember somebody from our side looking at introducing kube reserved modification as a first step for this. I think I mentioned it on last call, but I don't see this cap anywhere. I'll check.
Cool. Yeah, if you could link it if you find it. No, it would be alpha. Cool. Crash loop, timeout minimization. So this is what Laura just presented, right? So we have a cap now. So I bet I can find it. Nice.
This was fast.
Brand new, off the press. There's the cap. Cool. So we'll continue following this. I could be a reviewer here. Does anyone want to does anyone else want to look at it?
You can add me as well.
Cool. Thank you. Cool. We can figure out the server later if we want. This next one is me and Eddie, who's also on the call. I talked about this a couple of weeks back, and I'm being slow about getting the actual KEP out. I have a rough design document that's been started, but the idea here is to, instead of relying on a tar command that you exec into a container and then extract out or pull in a file with like shell piping and stuff, we'll make it a first class sort of CRI operation. And yeah, so Eddie and I are intending on working on this, and probably will be presenting it at SIG Node at some point once we finish that design document. Eddie, did you have anything else that we wanted to mention here? I saw you unmuted, but I'm not hearing anything.
Hello.
Hi, yes.
Hi, sorry, gotta love Linux audio stack sometimes. Obviously there's been a long CVE history of kube control copy. I know Tim Auclair was interested in being a reviewer on this one. We're gonna take it slow and make sure we get it right is the plan. So.
Yeah, exactly. I have on the brief design document, I have a sort of list of possible issues with it, like or potential sort of security holes with it, like, you know, DOS on the CRI and sort of path traversal issues. So definitely, if you have any sort of, this has even outside of Kubernetes, like Docker and Podman copy are also notoriously CVE ridden. So this is a tricky thing to get right. So if you have any sort of you know, attack vectors that you can think of, we definitely will want to hear it to make sure that we don't introduce a whole bunch of new CVEs. Tim, can I sign you up as a reviewer here?
Yes, please do.
Awesome, thank you. And stay tuned for a more official presentation here, and also the CAP being opened, which will happen hopefully soon. Okay. Next up, eviction check usage of dead containers. Oh, yes. So this is not yet a CAP. This is, it was suggest. Oh, it is a CAP actually already. So we should link this one instead, I think. But it was spawned off of an issue that, you know, we kind of deemed as more of a feature. So I'm pretty sure this author is interested in working on it. We can ask them if they're still interested in this. It is a little bit old, so maybe not, but I don't know. I think it might end up looking similar to, you know, the suggestion of the CAP for the file permissions, where it's like, you know, slowly make a change, but it'll kind of just like functionally be a Boolean to whether we, you know, count this or not. And then as time goes on, if we decide it's the right choice, we'll make that happen. Does anyone have any thoughts on this? I don't suppose the author is here. I don't think so. Cool. And then we have this new one by Anish. Are you here?
Yeah, Anish revived this one. It's basically reading environment variables from a file instead of passing them explicitly. So scenario here is init containers will orchestrate and set some environment variable for a regular container. I think Anish wanted to revive it, and I just added it here because it's interesting. And I will be reviewer. I wonder if anybody wants to volunteer to approve it.
I can help if we don't find backup, but I don't think I'll be able to cover everything. So we'll see if Don and Derek have some time. So.
Cool, sounds good. All right. Would you believe it? We have made it through the list of CAPs. I might do a little bit of reorganizing. I don't know if we didn't really talk about the priority of these newer ones. I think low is fine for them. Does anyone feel like any of these should be a little bit higher? Maybe this one. If not, we can leave them as is. And yeah, so that would be our CAP planning. We have a bunch of work to do. I think I saw a tentative schedule that CAP freeze is sometime around in like the middle of June. So we have a little bit of time to sort of flesh these out and, you know, continue ranking priority. But we did this. So if there is no more last minute additions, I think I will yield the floor. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Right. Thanks, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.